Bake Club, welcome back to another Teach Me Something. Today we are hanging with one of the truest hearts and one of the hardest working women I know in this industry. Heart is at the soul and the spirit of everything she does, everything she bakes, every project she dreams up and takes on. She stays so true to herself every step of the way. Bake Club, welcome Fany. Fany.
Hi.
I'm so glad that you're hanging out with us today. Okay, welcome to Bake Club Teach Me Something. What are you going to teach us?
First of all, I'm so excited. You almost made me cry, so thank you. I'm going to teach you how to make tres leches cakes.
Okay, tres leches, 3 milks, but really tres leches means more than 3 milks. When you hear the words tres leches, what does that tell you?
To me, it tells me it's like nostalgia. Like synonymous with nostalgia, and it's a very traditional cake from Mexico, but they have it in different parts of Latin America, and different parts of Latin America claim that it's from there, whether it's Bolivia or
everyone argues about who owns the rights to tres leches.
I'm like, we don't need to fight over it. We're just but the truth of it is like the root of it is came from Europe anyway. We didn't have dairy in Mexico before the Spaniards conquered, but whatever the origin is, whoever wants to claim the title, it's just a delicious cake, perfect for any celebration, and it's one of our most popular cakes that we have at La New.
That's so interesting. Okay, so whenever I think of tres leches, like I'm a sucker for sweet milk, surprise, right? And also what I love about tres leches from a cake standpoint compared to other cakes is I know I'm going to get something that's basically gooey and sweet, and moist isn't the right word and soupy isn't the right word. It's somewhere in between moist and soupy. And for me, that is like, it's comfort. It's comfort on every level. And I can't wait to learn how to make it from the pro.
I'm so excited. Have you made tres leches before?
I've made it before. I definitely am an aficionado when it comes to ordering it on menus. And so I have my different riffs and favorites that I've had before. But what I love about making it with you is not only learning it from you through the lens of why it's nostalgic to you, but also I don't know that I've ever really gone back to tres leches with the sense of curiosity and individuality beyond saying, okay, it's these 3 milks, it's made a certain way, it's baked a certain way, it's soaked a certain way. I don't know that I've ever stopped to look at it with infinite possibility. And that's what I'm super excited about today.
Yeah, I think you're going to love it. And I bet you're going to make it now more often. I hope you are.
Well, I have so many questions about it too. Like, can I, should I, would you? So let's get going.
Yeah, let's get going.
Okay, so you need cake to make tres leches.
Yes. So the most important thing, there's many different cake recipes, but you want a cake that's porous, and so you want it like a light, pillowy cake that is going to allow to soak up the milk, but at the same time not fall apart. So
Got it. So you want something that's super spongy, and ideally your cake, like where you would normally make cake and say like, this cake that I'm mixing is the star, it has to be baked, it has to be full of flavor and moisture and personality. The cake that you use as the base for tres leches is sort of a palette. It's not the star, it's the other things that you do to it that make it one.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like, think about it, when you have a cookie and you dip it in milk, it's the combination of like one is the vehicle for the other. You know what I mean?
Got it. So the cake here is just the first building block of what we're going to get down.
Exactly.
Okay, and I made my cake in advance because not that making cake isn't fun. And what I think is really cool about the cake recipe that you're sharing with Bake Club is it's a different kind of cake. It's cake where you whip egg yolks and sugar, you whip egg whites and sugar, and then you fold them together, alternating with dry ingredients, so that you get this really, really, really light, spongy, to your point, porous base of tres leches.
Yeah, but also, you know, like the recipe itself, like it's like in a traditional, I forget the measurement, but a traditional, you know, rectangular Pyrex pan that most people have. But also you and I did it in very different shapes, which is awesome, which is, you know, kind of the versatility of it. And then another thing, so you made a square cake, right?
I made a 9 by 13.
Looks awesome. And then are you gonna keep it whole?
Well, so what I wanted to get your take on was, like, it's the holiday season. I've already baked 3 batches of cookies and done some chocolate work on conference calls, because these are the things that you can do in the middle of COVID. But I was thinking, like, I was going into my baking pan drawer, and I was thinking, knowing that, like, the secret to this cake is to make it porous, to cool it, and then to flip it out, I thought, I wonder if I can't put it into smaller vessels so that I could, like, gift these, or send them to the people that I can't be with on the holidays, so that we can all have tres leches for dessert, or to drop them off at people's doorsteps, or what have you.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. And you could even, like, you know, somebody is making it, you know, wants to make it into like a sheet pan, you can cut circles and put it, you know, in soap and do like in mason jars. And so I think that's a great idea. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of it.
So I have my cake, you have yours.
Yeah.
Aside from cutting it down to put in these smaller pans, what's the next step?
So the next step is to get your, you know, tres leches mixture ready. So we have evaporated milk, condensed milk, and heavy cream. So, you know, if you want to be, you know, technical, you'd use milk, but I find that the heavy cream is just a little bit better. The thickness, the richness just kind of binds together. The one thing you want to be careful of is the condensed milk, because it has so much sugar that if you don't watch it, it can burn, you know? And so you can, if you can do it 2 ways. Like, one, as the recipe says, you just like watch it, you know, or you can heat up the other 2 milks, and once it comes to a simmer, add the
cream. So why do we heat up the 3 ingredients? We're not trying to dissolve anything at this point. Is it just because the cake will accept the moisture more when it's warm?
Yeah, exactly. So what, you know, this a woman that taught me a long time ago how to make tres leches said you basically want the opposite. If you have a warm cake, you want a cool mixture. If you have a cold cake, you want a hot mixture. But the warm cake doesn't always work that well, because you need the cake to really, you know, sit down. And I've tried making the same cake without warming it up, and it just doesn't soak up the same way.
Got it. So you go warm liquid. So I'm going to take 1 can of sweetened condensed, 1 can of evaporated, and about a half a cup of heavy cream.
Yeah.
Got it. So and what do you think, like, from a substitution standpoint, like, what I love about the spirit of a tres leches, when you're like, I want to teach Bake Club tres leches, I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. 1, because it's like the perfect centerpiece for the holiday season. It's perfectly cozy. It's so delicious in purest form. But I also thought, holy smokes, like, the best part about tres leches is that it's a formula. It's spongy cake. It's soaking liquid that really sits and soaks. And then in yours, it's topping. So I was going, oh, so I could really take any base of cake that's, to your point, porous and spongy, and bring a flavor story together where it's spongy cake base, flavorful, warm liquid topping to sort of bring this to life.
Exactly. So, like, you could even have a chocolate cake, you know, that has those characteristics, or a coffee cake or whatever. But even with just this vanilla cake, you can substitute one of the milks for coconut milk, and then that's gonna be a completely different recipe, you know, like flavor, using the same thing. Or you can add some coffee and make a café con leche, So you can really have a lot of fun, you know, and make it your own. I'm gonna add a little boost to mine.
What's your feeling around something like fruit purees or fruit jams in the soaking bit? Like, would you go fruity, or would you keep it more like things that stay in that like deeper, denser, creamy?
I love fruity things, but in this case, I wouldn't, unless it was something kind of tart, like passion fruit, you know. But I'd rather add the fruit as part of like a garnish component. So if you were gonna do, like you were saying, the mason jar or something, or like what you have, you can put them in between the layers.
Oh, I see.
You add texture to it, which I think the flavor works out better there, because you have the flavor and the texture that can work.
Okay, well now I'm going, what is in my cabinet?
Yeah.
Wait, how do you feel about a peanut butter dulce de leche cake?
Well, you know, if you add at the top like dulce de leche, then you're gonna make a cuatro leches cake.
What am I gonna bring to town? Nutella? Honey?
I think that would be too sweet with the condensed
Honey is too much, with sweetened condensed milk.
You can go straight up also.
I know. I know you're gonna bring the thunder. So now I'm like, what? I'm looking through my cabinets. I'm like, I got gummy bears. I got potato chips.
What about like?
It's a mess over here.
You never know. That could be like kind of like the
mayonnaise. No, that doesn't work. Coca-Cola.
I don't know.
I mean, it could happen.
What you could use? How about spices?
Caramel.
And spices too.
Ooh, what do you think in spice form?
Like if you have like star anise or I don't know.
Ooh, cinnamon, any of those like warm mulling spices?
Yeah, malt.
All right, I have some grade A Milk Bar fudge sauce. What do you think about using this in place?
Yeah, I think not in place. Like you want to just, you can incorporate it. Yeah, to that.
Okay, hold on. I got to check one more drawer because now I have options, but I haven't committed yet. Hold on.
All right.
Ooh, maple? That's too sweet.
I'm excited to see what Christina.
All right, I've decided. How about peanut butter coconut?
Why not?
Yeah. I'm throwing chocolate to the side. And I'm going.
All right.
Okay, I'm ready. Hold on, I need my saucepan. Okay, so I'm back. I'm ready to heat up liquids. You know what, Fany? Over all the years of knowing each other and being friends, I don't know that we've ever baked together.
No, I don't think we have.
I would like text you and be like, I've eaten 6 of your donuts. By the way, by the way, Bake Club, Fan Donuts. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Also, Fany founded Dough originally. If you know what a dough donut is, you know her brilliance. But if you want to show up and support her, Fan Donuts is where it's at. They're so good. They're so brilliant. And also La New Yorkina. I mean, sweet, savory, all of the things. I've eaten all your food, but never actually had the chance to bake.
Yeah, well, when things normalize, we need to get together in person and cook.
Okay, so one can. I got coconut. How much peanut butter do you think?
I think that I would heat it up first and then add the peanut butter afterwards.
To taste?
Yeah.
Got it. So one
You
can.
don't want it too thick so that it still soaks, you know?
Got it. And you're heating this up just till it's warm?
Just till it's warm. And so you want to make sure you stir it. I'm in my New Yorkina kitchen and the stove is far away, so I already heat it.
Look at you. You've already done.
Straight up, but I am going to add a little bit of mezcal right now.
Oh, okay, so you already had some of yours. I see you.
You know. This is like a little sample of this mezcal my friend sent me. I'm a big fan of mezcal. You like mezcal?
Oh, I love mezcal. So wait, if you're gonna go to Booze Town, what quantity would you recommend?
So it's to taste, you want a little more.
I love you. This is also why Fany is my kind of baker, because she bakes with her heart. She doesn't just bring her heart to work, she bakes with her heart. She knows what the recipe is, she knows the science, and then the rest of it is intuition. It's what comes from here, then it's what this tells this.
I always think about how I am very much like the anti-pastry chef, in the sense pastry chefs in general tend to be morning people, which I'm not. I mean, I have a baby, so I've become one, but although he makes it so much easier to be a morning person.
Kyle doesn't sleep in?
No, well, today, unusually, he woke up at 4 a.m, but he woke up singing Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. But how can you get upset at that,
No one's mad at that. You can't get mad at that.
But also, pastry chefs tend to be very methodical and very sort of, and I maybe because I started in the savory side of the kitchen, but I feel like there's so much, that has to come from you. And we could take the same recipe and make it side by side with the same ingredients, and it's going to come out completely different.
Totally different.
So you have to, just feel it and have fun with it. If anybody, when I come to the kitchen, we always have to have music. When I worked in kitchens before that, European style with I was like tense all day. You need to have.
Okay, so also you were born and raised in Mexico City. You studied cooking a little bit there before moving to the States and going to the CIA. You worked at 11 Madison Park, at Rosa Mexicana. How did you go from discovering food and your love for wanting to make it to fine dining to where you are now, from sweet to savory? How did that work in your brain and in your heart? Because I'm with you. In case you couldn't see my station, it's like a beautifully organized spirit of chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get this part of you, but I'm curious how it went for you across your years.
I think, when I went to cooking school, I went to cooking school first in Mexico, but when I graduated high school, I wanted to go into arts. I knew I wanted to do something creative. Cooking school was not even in my radar. I did not even, they didn't really exist. And there were certainly no pastry chefs. There were no Christina Tosis to look up to,
What kind of art did you think you were going to get into?
I came to New York and visited different schools, and I loved the School of Visual Arts. They had offered me a partial scholarship, and I wanted to go into graphic design with a minor on art education. And I was set. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do. And then I went to visit cooking schools when I found out there were, and I went to the CIA. But my mind had been made up. And the moment the van that took me from the train station to the school entered, I was like, no, this is where I belong. I hadn't even entered the school. I hadn't seen, it's very strange. It was like a sense of belonging. And that was the beginning. But my parents were like, I don't think so. You're not gonna go to cooking school. Go to Mexico, take this, course. It was like a 2 years associate degree. And if you still want to do it, then you can go to the CIA. They thought I was just going to get out of my system. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is that they wanted me to go to art school. So it's not like they wanted me to not do it for
you're going to be a lawyer.
Something like that. I don't know. I always found that very funny. And then, because I'm from Mexico. What?
Did you start studying savory at the CIA, or did you go straight into pastry?
No, I went to savory. Yeah, I was going to go into pastry, but in Mexico, I did my externship at the Four Seasons there. And the food and beverage manager found out that I had applied there. And he's like, why are you going to do baking and pastry? I said, because I want to specialize in it. And he said, you think you're going to specialize when you don't even have a solid foundation? That's, going to school here for 2 years is not enough. So I took his advice, and I'm very grateful that I did, because I learned so much that, for example, in the pandemic, you know, all of those skills were very useful because we had to completely reinvent ourselves because, you know, we have a seasonal business at La Neoquina, and we didn't have a season. We had to prepare. So we started making savory, home-style Mexican meals, like we were saying before. But I also love knowing how to butcher and how to make sausage and terrines and on. And I think I apply a lot of those skills and that kind of mindset. I'm a savory chef at heart, but I just love the creativity in pastry and just the food. How's your milk doing?
That's so interesting to me, Fany. I did not know that about you, but it makes perfect sense. Like, I'm with you. I didn't ever think I would do savory, but my favorite part about working my way up in restaurants was, you know, every restaurant, at least when we were coming up, was like severely understaffed. And so if you had time and an appetite, you could gain so much more experience by just going over to help and sort of doing it fearlessly of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but, you know, show me or teach me or what have you. And it builds like greater overall confidence, but I think you're right. It builds this mindset of like gritty, courageous flexibility, as opposed to saying, I do this, I'm in this box or I'm in this room and that's not my room over there. I don't go into that box. Because you can't be you can't be successful at being an entrepreneur or as a business person. 2020 hard stop, and just in general, if you're not always thinking about, you can't just say, I love this right in here, but other things around it, you know, they're around. You kind of have to, if you love it, you have to love all of it.
And you have to tap into these like different sort of muscles. And that's gonna be great. I have to say, out of all the different versions, I've never done that one.
Okay, so you're going mezcal. I'm doing coconut peanut butter, which I can't decide if I'm gonna be happy about it at the end of the day or if I'm gonna be like, I wish I just did.
No, I think it's gonna be awesome. I
got more flour. I got more flour in it. Okay.
I want to see your liquid. How does it taste?
I'm going to tell you, it's very interesting in that, you know, peanut butter at first, when it's dissolving, it's a very light tan. And now it's like darker than the cake over here.
Oh, and don't forget to add the salt.
Salt, it does need salt. How much salt?
Especially with the peanut butter, maybe add a little.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add mine.
All right, a little salt. I think I'm gonna go a little more peanut butter because the coconut is good. I feel very seen by you, Fany. I feel very seen and understood by you. Maybe that's always the way that it's been.
Yeah, I see you, I hear you. And I always think that the other thing is sort of, you know, whoever wants to, you know, be in the industry, the other thing is like to be authentic to who you are, you know, like it's not, you know, I'm doing Mexican sweets. It's not about making authentic because the word authentic gets bounced around a lot, but I think it's just authentic to who you are, your point of view, even if, you know, but in order to get there, you need to pay your dues and you need to understand and really, I mean, that's how I think about it. And there's no rush, like the more.
That's a really good point. And I think the way that you understand who you are and what's authentic to you, which is a different authenticity than everyone else, is working for someone else that has figured out how to harness their own individuality and that wants to help nurture it in you.
Yeah.
Right? That wants to understand what makes you you, not, oh, you're from the South, this is who you are. Oh, you're from Mexico City, this is who you are. Oh, you're from Ohio, this is who you are, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm coming in hot. So I have my amazingly warm coconut peanut butter. Yeah, now it's ready. And that salt, before it was kind of like a little like it's there, but it wasn't, it was like
it wasn't there.
The lights were installed, but no one turned the lights on. Okay.
Right. I love the idea that you're gonna do of cutting them up into the little pans. I think that's gonna be.
What do you think? I think it'll work.
I think it's gonna work.
I got to figure out now the most efficient way to do it. So I'm cutting the cake into these pans, and then that's when the soaking happens, right? When you figure out.
And then you're gonna take. I don't have like a skewer. I don't have a skewer, so I'm gonna use my thermometer.
Or a fork.
Yeah, or a
Like
fork.
a fork.
Yeah. You want to make. So you just want to, and again, the cake is porous already, but you just want to get as much as you can. This is like a little extra help, but it's not a vital step, but it's just a little.
Got it. It just sets, it encourages the soaking.
Exactly.
How do you know how much liquid to add in?
You can't have, well, it's sort of like this borderline thing, you know? I was gonna say, but I stopped myself, like, you can't have too much, but you can. But some people actually like put it and then serve it with extra milk so that you can have like extra to put it. But especially if you're gonna be eating it from, like if you're not unmolding it the way that you and I are making it, you can take it so much further because any extra is going to, can be used as like a sauce. You know what I mean? You want to take it as far as you can without it falling apart.
I am so into this. I feel like this is awakening in me, like a world of infinite possibility. Like I sort of always say, like my favorite times to create and be inspired are when I'm looking at the same thing that I've been looking at over and over and over again, and I can see it with fresh eyes, whether it's like, you know, oh, it's eggs and flour and sugar, or like it's cake and it's cake soap. And I am so freaking jazzed about this.
Okay. So, yeah, so once you pricked it, you're just gonna pour it. And what I like to do is kind of pour it on like the sides and then the center. Let it soak up a bit, and then add the rest, you know? So it's gonna look like,
a minute to soak it up.
Like super wet, you know? But it's going to slowly start sinking. And then you can also kind of move it to the side, you know, like this. Can you see that?
Do you ever talk to your tres leches cake to say, come on, buddy?
I always talk to my, my not just the tres leches. I'm like, come on, how are you feling today? Like this one, I told her it's a her, first of all. And I told her she was looking mighty pretty today in her dress. You know?
In her sweet dress, I love it.
And so you can also do this, Christina, like you can kind of put it to the side, right?
Got it.
Make sure, so see all of the ones that I had already soaked up. And just gonna put more.
This is so
usually it's gonna look like you have too much,
yes.
You know, but normally I like to let it sit overnight. So it really soaks up. But you can also use almost all of it, and like I said, leave a little bit aside that you can serve with it, you know?
Okay, got it. And this, I can already start to see it. You're right, it feels like it's too much, but I can already start to see it like expand a little bit.
Yeah.
The cake.
Woo. The other thing that I did with mine that I forgot to tell you is in Oaxaca, there's this ice cream. It's called burnt milk ice cream, and it's an acquired taste. It's not burnt the way that like creme brulee is. It's not like caramelized. No, it's burnt. Like it's burnt. It's like they used to make them with like these iron rods that they put in the milk to burn it. So, but it's a very
more like savory, smoky.
Yeah. But again, it's an acquired taste. So I took my milk and I purposefully like burned it a little to get that taste because I was gonna put the mezcal you know, so mezcal is from Oaxaca, the milk, you know what I mean? So just, this is like a burnt milk. Tres leches.
Oh, that is brilliant. Oh my, I mean,
Yeah, so mine is almost, you know, fully.
Okay,
How is your looks looking? I love those little pants. They're so cute.
well, I'll show you this one. I have a hole in one of them.
Love it.
But this is it. Well, leaning it at you, it looks a little, but I have some saved, which I'm with you. I think I'm going to save it and either like put it in little containers, or when do you know if you're going to want to add more? You wait until the next morning?
Wait until the next, I mean, you could wait not even the next morning, like you could wait a couple of hours, you know?
Yeah.
Like you wait like 2 hours and you know, it looks kind of dryish, add more. If it still looks like it has some, that's gonna be fine the next day.
I love it.
You know, but you feel it feels like, you know, like a little sponge. So good. Yum.
It's so good. And then you like to make a topping for this as well, right?
Yeah. So it's just whipped cream, which again, you can get creative with it, you know? So this is just, the recipe is just heavy cream, confection sweetened with just a little confectioner sugar. I don't put a lot because it's already pretty sweet.
Got it.
And a little vanilla.
Got it. So again, this whipped cream is more for creaminess, not for sweetness.
Right, exactly. And so, you know, it's kind of like adding that creaminess like to the next level. Yeah. Like I was saying before, you could, instead of doing that, you could put dulce de leche on top, and then it becomes a 4-milk cake, 4 leches. Or you could put booze in here, you know, again, or you could do it like that and then top it. So I'm going to do just the whipped cream, and I'm gonna put some lime zest and some spicy candied mangoes that we make at La Ñeroquina.
That is so brilliant. So do you recommend making the topping now, or do you make it the next morning when you know your cake?
We make it the next morning normally,
okay.
But we can finish one now.
Okay, good. So here's my other thought, because I put coconut in my soap. Maybe I make the whipped cream and toast the coconut, and there's a little like garnish situation.
Yeah, I think that would look great.
Okay, so girl, let's whip some cream.
Yeah, let's whip some cream.
Okay. I love this. And you're making enough whipped cream to cover the surface of the tres leches.
Yeah.
I wish I had dulce de leche right now, or had more sweetened condensed milk to go for it.
And you know, like with time, I was just thinking like for the, like if you had more time or next time you do it, you could also toast like we do a toasted coconut ice cream, like a toasted coconut chip ice cream. So we toast the coconut and soak it overnight, but you could soak the heavy cream, strain it, and then it's gonna taste like it. Very surprising. It's like,
that would be like next level. Caramelized some peanuts. Yeah. We're out here. So
I'm gonna cheat. You're gonna do it by hand.
I'm gonna do it by hand. I know, but my mixer's over there. I'm actually too lazy because I don't want to deal with that over there. Okay, will you also tell us about Fan donuts while we whip some cream? Because the world does not already know about Fan donuts. The world needs more Fan donuts. They need to know, and they need Fan donuts in their life, and they can get Fan donuts in their lives no matter where they are. And also, it's like one of my favorite, most joyful Instagram follows, because every time I check my feed, I get a picture of a donut made by Fany.
So yeah, we opened like 2 months ago, so in the middle of the pandemic, which is crazy. And we opened in the original space where Dough started in Bed-Stuy. And, you know, it's a whole new recipe, whole new toppings. And what I really want is sort of a celebration of community and diversity and culture. So obviously there are a lot of sort of Latin inspired flavors. Like we do a guava and cheese. That's one of my favorites. Probably
it's one of my favorite flavor combinations.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. But also, I really want, and I think you and I are very similar in this way. Like, I have an appreciation for a lot of like fine pastries and bonbons, and I love that stuff. But for me, I want to create a place that feels approachable. That it's an affordable luxury that feels special but not precious. Does that make sense?
I mean, you're speaking my language. We have so many things in common when you go like, we worked in fine dining. So you're right. We have the appreciation for the really artistic side of things, but there's this like spirit and this, I want to feed people and I want to feed all of them. And I want there to be, I like that. It's like the democratization of really great, talented, skillful food. So why donut? Like for me, I'm always curious, why is that such a meaningful vehicle for you?
Well, I have to say it wasn't something that so when I started La Neoyorquina in 2010, in the summer, at the end, an old boss of mine who later became a friend said, and I was spending a lot of time there also, the year before, because he lent me his kitchen to do a lot of recipe testing for my first cookbook. So he was like, so what are you going to do now? Sorry about the noise. We're in my kitchen. So,
we know you're in your kitchen. I got you.
In my like Neoyorquina kitchen. Anyways, so he was like, what are you going to do now that it's winter? Because at first when I started La Neoyorquina, I had 2 jobs and I was, starting to make the paletas at midnight when I would get off my second job. And I said, and by the end of the summer, I had quit the other 2 jobs, but then there was no summer. So, and I said, well, I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to try to do freelance and see how I can grow these popsicles. And he said, well, I have a space and I want to do a donut shop, kind of like an artisanal, before artisanal became kind of like overused, but the term, but like a gourmet donut shop. And I was like, and it was in Bed-Stuy. And at the time, this part of Brooklyn, there was nothing there. When I say nothing, like really, there was nothing there. I felt like I was going so far when I went there. And it was across the street from public housing. It still is. And I was like, so this doesn't seem like the most obvious area to open this business. And also, you're a French guy and I'm a Mexican trying to do something quintessential American. But we said, yeah, why not? Like it just sounds fun. And we said, if it works, great. And if it doesn't. So we talked a lot about, because neither of us grew up eating donuts the way Americans do. We didn't have that. I mean, of course we had donuts, but it's not, you don't have that connection. So we approached it from like a foreigner's point of view, in the sense like, what do we think would make the best donut? So we talked a lot about the textures and the flavors and stuff. And I just did a lot of testing for donuts. And, until I got to, after several months, what I was hoping to get. And I was so excited. And I called them up and I said, I think I have it. But because you're creating something new, it's not like, oh, I'm trying to replicate this texture or this flavor. What I have in my mind could be completely different than what he has. We're talking about like the bites, like we're getting really nerdy about it, but without, and when I achieved it, I was waiting for him to take a bite and he was like, okay, we're opening in 2 weeks. And we opened with a French fry fryer and just literally opened one day, opened the door, and then word started, catching on. And, and so different circumstances, we separated, we later on, opened in the city, and we had, some different partners that were brought on, and we separated in February, and we had a different spot already almost built out in a different location. And the location where it ended up being, which like I said, was the original one, where Joe started, we were gonna do a wholesale bakery called Bernard's. But, that new place was gonna have like communal seating, like living room styles. I love teaching, so I was gonna have like a whole area for teaching classes. And that just it didn't make sense to open that right now. And then all the wholesale business for the bakery disappeared. So we let go of the other space. We lost a ton of money and we said, let's open here. And so, but again, a whole new recipe with all the sort of knowledge that I have. And in the beginning of the pandemic, I only stopped working for about a week, maybe 10 days. And I wrote 2 book proposals in that time. Because, you're like me, we don't like to stop. That's the way I cope. That's the way I am. And one of them was it's a donut book that hasn't been picked up yet. But I think it has to be, the right person hasn't come along. But it's a lot of, I want to be like donuts from around the world, donuts and flavors from around the world. So a lot of the flavors that I do are inspired, like we have a mango lassi, everyone is very personal, like everyone tells a story. Sometimes it's a story of flavor. Sometimes it's a story of, like I did one for my husband's, like that was my present to him for our anniversary, It's called the mensch. And
what I love about Fan Donuts are, like, at first blush, it's interesting that you tell this story because they do kind of look like, they don't look like a churro and they don't look like a eclair, but they do look like a donut that's inspired by, in shape, by both of those things. Because it's not a...
Yeah, so we have 2 kinds. So we have like the regular ones that are just like, small and really nice. But I really wanted to do something, again, sort of going back, that's inspired by eclairs. It's not a cross, which a lot of people think, like it's a donut. It's kind of like a Long John, but Long Johns I feel are very like bulky. And
they're really long.
So again, taking that kind of refinement from the fine dining, but, the way you eat it, it's just, much easier and more pleasant to than like a big one. But also it allows me, and the way I think about the flavors and the texture is the way I would approach an eclair, so I'm really, and so those we call fans.
Those are, I freaking love those. And what I also like about it, Fany, is it's kind of like this, where the second you can get yourself out of your own brain, even if it's just format, even if it's not flavor, it's format, and you go, oh, it's going to be a Long John, but shorter and kind of like this and kind of like that, then all of a sudden it feels like this imagination unlock for all of the other, to your point, flavors, textures, how you enjoy it, how you eat it, how you bake it, how you fill it, how you glaze it. And I think that's one of the most fun things to see you create right now in the middle of a freaking pandemic, which is pretty cool. But Fany, you're shipping La New Yorkina stuff still, right?
Yes. So at La New Yorkina, we do all kinds of Mexican sweets. Even the ice cream and the paletas, the ice pops and the churros, we ship those. And we found a way to do the churros in a way that you can reheat them. It's not the same, but it's as close to, something that I feel, the tres leches, that we don't ship. That one doesn't travel well. So,
well, that people now, they know how to plot us. We know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so Fany, these are gonna go in the fridge overnight.
Yeah.
And then they get maybe more liquid depending on how they're looking. This looks really good. Yeah. And then whipped cream in like whatever kind of cloud-like billowy shape. And then you eat, you serve, you share.
Exactly. Or you can eat it just by yourself. Depends.
This is
you can finish one of yours. I want to see how one of yours looks.
I know. Well, this one, I have to say, it's soaked up. I put a ton of liquid in here and it soaked up a lot.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about. Okay. I'm going to send you a picture of mine when I'm done. You top the cake with whipped cream once it's cool completely.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It's not cool.
You have to send me a picture of yours.
What'd you say?
I said, I'm going to send you a pic of mine. You have to send me a pic of yours.
Yes. Yes, I will.
Okay. Fany of La New Yorkina and Fan Donuts, and the most masterful Teach Me Something Tres Leches that we've ever had, ever need in our life.